Hello, welcome back to How to RPG. Is Fred Wheeler, and yeah, I thought we would do some villain lairs. Going to be a topic you're going to eventually come across, and I thought a sort of a more open discussion around this, and maybe sort of a build it out for you, show you the nuts and bolts and the workings of my brain behind the scene, you might say. I've put a couple of images up here. This is Wally DM's Journal of Puzzle Encounters and the Game Master's Book of Random Encounters. The puzzle encounters actually give you quite a few different locations, and you can use them as ways of stopping people from getting into a villain's lair. You can also use, some of them are almost trap-like, but there's also some room descriptions in there. And then you've got the Pathfinder Game Mastery Guide for First Ed Edition, which I thought it's a pretty good book too. And the Game Master's Book of Random Encounters is a lot of different locations, and I think it's really useful. So today is a little different. We've been doing a lot of this, and we're going to continue doing this over the coming weeks. This will be the day where we talk about running adventures. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a poll. I'm going to ask you some questions, and feel free to grab some food, some drink. Make sure you are comfortable. There's a lot to cover in a short space of time, and I'm going to do my best to give you what you need so you can do things right for your own adventures, or for pre-existing adventures where you may need to make a few adjustments. That's my intention here today. Okay, all right, let's get flying into this, shall we? Hi, welcome to How to RPG. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about villain lairs. This is part of Running Adventures for Game Masters, a tutorial. I'm actually going to build it from scratch today. I'm going to be repurposing material that I used from the Lost Mine of Phandelver, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give you an example of a really poorly constructed villain's lair. Like, if there is a really poorly constructed villain's lair, the Lost Mine of Phandelver has one. Okay, it actually has a couple of them, but by far the worst one is definitely the Red Brand Hideout. And if you've ever run that adventure, or you're planning to run that adventure, you will know this because of a number of different things. It has to do with entry points, it has to do with secret doors, it has to do with traps in the wrong place. Like this, these are all things that if you are a villain, you would be putting them in particular places. And also escape routes, making sure that you have adequate escape route, so if somebody decides to intrude and get into your lair, your hideout, your fortress, you can escape as a villain. And Red Brand Hideout doesn't do that. It's done quite deliberately, but you also see that in Cragmore Castle as well. But we're going to be coming back to Cragmore Castle some of the day. So I'm going to say right now, one of the best examples of a villain's lair are all of the James Bond movies. Because every single time you see a villain in those movies, James Bond villains, they always have their lair is hidden. Usually you don't know exactly where it is. We're going to go around and talk about some of the different types of lairs too today, and then there's usually some sort of secret door. There's usually some sort of trap system set in place. If there's no traps, there's some sort of guards in place to ensure that it cannot be infiltrated. And so those things are very important. It also the lair is there as a purpose to allow them to do the thing that they intend to do, whether that's take over the world by blowing it up, or making a whole lot of undead, or whatever the heck it is. But with regard to James Bond, it's usually been nuclear bombs and some sort of virus, or knock over Fort Knox. I mean, there's various things that have cropped up over the years. So, very powerful lasers from space. Well, there's been a few, hasn't there? Yeah, there's been a few. So let me go through the information you'll need. I'm going to be sharing with you today my notes from the Lost Mine of Phandelver, which is the Red Brand Hideout, and then I'm going to repurpose them so that this can be used for running any kind of adventure, well, no matter what it is that you have. I don't know how long I'll be able to cope with the hat on and the door closed, but we'll see how long I last. Okay, you never know. I may last longer than I expect. Anyway, the chat is up. If somebody wants to type something in, if they are here and able to do so, that would be great. And I will make sure to get my scene ready to go. Share properties. Where is it? Is this it? That looks like it is. That's the one. Sweet. Ready to just about to transfer over so I can show you what I'm going to be working with today. I have to make a copy of this, by the way. If I don't, going to be a whole bunch of problems because I don't want to destroy it. I just want to repurpose it and also point out some of the problems, I guess, with the Lost Mine of Fendelver and the Red Brand hideout. That's probably where my head is at for today. Okay, all right, I'm here. I'm up. So what I'll do first, before I do anything, is to ensure that I don't destroy it, I will copy the entire presentation, rename it, and for the life of me, I'm trying to remember what I've been calling these things, because there's so many. I've been doing so much repurposing recently. But I'm pretty sure it falls under running, lesson plan, running adventures, GM tutorial. Okay, so that's what I need to do. So this will be lesson 4. Lesson 4. Running adventures. Adventures. This is it Game Master or GM? I cannot remember. Where are you? GM tutorial. This is Game Master tutorial, and then I do that. Okay, all right. Game Master tutorial. And then we go villain lairs. Okay, so that should have the name right. We should be all good there. I think that's right. Yep. So let's go copy. Make a copy. If I made a copy, yes, I think I have. It's coming up. It's working, and we got it there. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this so I don't destroy this. I will rename this now. I don't need to rename the whole thing. I just need to rename this part. Running Adventures. And it's GM, not DM. GM tutorial. And we want to center it. And center there. Okay. We'll rename this. We're just going to call it lesson, instead of lesson plan 4, we'll just put lesson 4, and it is villain lairs. Whether you call it a lair or a hideout doesn't matter really. So I think that'll do fine. And now that I've done that, I just need to make sure I rename the other one here, this one, correctly. Which you'd be surprised how difficult it is to remember to rename things correctly. And I have had a bunch of problems recently. But here we go. We'll do this now. Looking through, there are so many documents now, people. There are so many, and so I get lost amongst the enormous list of things that I've been doing. It keeps growing every day. Okay, so running adventures, Game Master tutorial, and then that. So this is the thing I need to make sure I do with this, is to make a copy of that and give it that name. So did I make that assessment correct? It is. That is the correct assessment. Okay, so we can copy this name here. Make a copy of that name, copy it, go into here, and this is what I have to duplicate. Make a copy. Delete the old thing and pluck this in and drop it in. Okay, so that should be correct. Looks good. Make a copy. Did it come out? It did. All right, we'll close that. And I think that's correct. So let's do this. With the formatting. So I just need to make sure I get that correct. Get rid of this. Okay. All right. So I've made all the adjustments so that I've got my files copied, so I'm not destroying the old ones. And now I have the new ones. Oh, okay. So this is where I want to start. As I said, there are a couple of things with villain layers that you need to consider. As I go through this, I'm going to take out a lot of the artwork that I can't use anymore. When you start building your own villain's lair and you want to trick it out, you need to do a bit of homework. Like how much homework you want to do is up to you, but probably the most important location in your entire adventure is always going to be the villain's lair. Like if anything needs to be done right, that's the one that needs to be done right. You can make plenty of mistakes, you can spend less time on other things, but this is the one that you don't want to spend less time on. It's far more important than any other location as a result of that. So spend a bit of time on it. So what I have here is a couple of different things that I ported over, and what I don't want to do is talk about. So with the Red Brand hideout, we have a whole lot of advice around finding the Red Brand hideout, the cellar entrance, which has some secret doors. We have some barracks close to that. We have a trapped hallway, which is in a place which is very easy to avoid. In fact, you probably have no reason to go down there in the first place. So the trapped hallway is actually almost completely pointless for the Red Brand hideout. So glass stuff, like why is it even there? There's so few traps. There's like maybe 2 traps in the entire place. One is in a reasonable location, but probably not the best location, and this is in the most ridiculous location. Then you've got the Tresendal crypts, which you've basically got some undead who are set up as a trap. It's basically an alarm system. You've got your slave pens, which you may or may not have in your villain's lair. That's really up to you. You've got the armory and the storage room. Of course, you're going to have these here. Okay. Mike Hall, how are you? How's it going? It's nice to see somebody say something, because I thought I was alone. I probably am. We've got some NPCs. We've got a crevice. Now, we're not necessarily going to be putting a crevice into your villain's lair, but you do need to make sure you have guards or some sort of barracks. Okay, and whoever you're going to use, you're going to have some place where they're living quarters. So a common room's quite common and quite obvious. The other aspect is you need to have your villain's workshop and their quarters. There's going to be some place where they have their own quarters and like a workspace that they operate in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. We don't actually need this. What we do need is types of villain lairs. We're going to spend a bit of time today on types of villain lairs. Okay, and that's sort of like making a list that we can use. Now, the cellar entrance and the barracks, really your entrance this is more about not just your entrance, but it's about secret doors. Like secret doors are really important. So entrances and secret doors. That's what we need to discuss. Secret doors. Okay. So I'm going to just jump back and forth a little bit from these 2 documents so that I can adjust the bits that I need to. Types of villain lairs and hideouts. Here we go. Types of villain lairs and hideouts, and we're going to put a lot of that into here. Alright, so the next one was the cellar, which I'm going to rename, in this case, the villain entrance. Should I say not the villain entrance, the lair entrance. Because lair entrances should usually be hidden. If you're going to have a lair entrance, it's usually going to be hidden. Okay, if it's not hidden, then why is it not hidden in the first place? I mean, that's a big question I would ask you. Is like, if you're going to do this, it probably should be hidden. All right, so this next one I'm going to put here: secret doors. Secret doors. The problem with secret doors in Wizards of the Coast is they are too easy to find. You'll find almost every single thing that you come across with Wizards of the Coast is almost impossible not to find them. There's probably no reason to even have a dice roll, because they obviously want you to find the secret door. And there's probably a problem. If they can't find the secret door, then they can't progress. There may be multiple ways or access points, but yeah. It seems common that villain layers have something famous to fall into. Why is this? Well, it's true. Like, why is there always something that you can fall into? I have to say, I agree. I think it's a funny trope, but it's there. And you remember we're talking about movies to a large extent. Now, we also needed to talk about traps. So adjudicating, so adjudicating and setting up traps. So what do I want to do? Adjudicating and setting up traps. And trap setup. And setting up traps, and trap setup. I think we'll go just trap setup. I think that's, we're not going to be messing around with hallways. Do not put your traps in a hallway unless it's the main entrance point. And trap setup. Trap setup. So that's what we want to have after entrances, secret doors. I think that's what I wanted there. Yes. Adjudicating. Adjudicating. And oh, come on. And trap setup. Okay, so where do you put your traps when you're doing anything? You should be placing your traps at the entry points. And you should be placing a easily disable a trap that can be disabled very quickly if you know how to do so by your villain on their escape route. The escape route for the Red Brand hideout is not well positioned. It's really poorly positioned, in fact. Now, crypts. I don't want to say crypts. I don't know what I'm supposed to say here at this present time. So I'm going to leave that for a second and think a bit more about that. Slave pens, prisons. There's always a prison. So prisons. Prisons and jails. Because your lair is probably going to have a prison or a jail of some kind, and that's really what we're talking about here. Prisons and jails. Pens, prisons. Then pillaging the armory and storage room. I'm fine with leaving that as is. To a large extent, it's probably just spot on. Armory, storage room, and work area. Well, storage room is probably more what we want to say. So we're just going to storage room, because there's usually a storage room somewhere. And the crevice, I'm not really going to, I don't really want to keep the crevice there. So what I will do is I'll highlight the bits that I am still unsure. I did have a sort of a rundown of what I needed to put in here, but I'm not looking at it right this very second, unfortunately, which I probably should be, but I will. And there. Okay. Next, guards. Guards and barracks. This is definitely, so guard, barracks, common room. I think we can probably, guard, barracks, and common room, I think we can probably keep those. They're pretty standard in any lair. So guard, barracks, guards. what we've got here, types of guards, guard barracks, and common room. Okay, and then the one here that I think will be all right with as well. Oh no, there's just a slight adjustment. I just need to change one thing out here. There's always a villain workshop, which is what glass stuff here has in this red brand hideout. So villain workshop and villain quarters. Now you're probably thinking, Fred, have you included everything that should be there? Well, this is one of those times where I probably haven't. Remember, I mentioned something before and I haven't written anything down on it, and it probably should be here. There is a thing that should be here that I haven't mentioned. Does anybody think? Can anybody think of something that should have a topic on it for a villain's lair that I have not included? Do you know what I mean? Like there must be something, right? There's got to be something. And maybe it's out of position. Hi, Fred Hubber. How are you doing? Late to the party again. Well, that's fine. That's fine. So I'm going to suggest to you that the escape route, the escape passage or the escape route, it's probably one of the most important things out of all of your lairs. Is like you've got to have an escape route. And what I'll do, this is probably going to be a little bit out of sequence, I would imagine, because I probably should say the escape route leaves it last. I wonder if I can do that. Can I reposition this? We'll go down here. And I'll make this here escape route or passage. You always need to have something like that. This is what we'll call this. So I will unhighlight it because now I remember what the heck it is. It was supposed to be here. I'll change its position. I believe that's, yep, that'll just capture all of that, and then I'll cut it. And that will put it all out of sequence, but we'll put it last in our discussion. And paste. Okay. So that changes the numbering. I'm not so worried about the numbering at this present time. We'll go back here. And we needed to say escape routes. Where is it? Delete. And we can do that again. Go down. Escape routes. Escape routes. Escape route. And there's one other thing that we need to include in here that I haven't put in, and passages. Okay. What do you got here, Michael? Yeah, rebranding the red brands. That's right, we are. You very, very astute of you, Michael. That's very true. It's getting really hot in this office. I'm going to have to take the hat off, people. And I'm going to have to open the door, which is going to be a little bit on the noisy side. But I need to call this the Villain's Workshop and Quarters. Villain Workshop and Quarters. Okay, and I think that's not too badly done. I think we've got everything basically in the order that I wanted it. There's just one thing that needs to be repositioned. I'm going to open this door. I'm going to get rid of this hat, and it'll help me think a bit clearly, because there was something else that I had thought about that we needed to include, and I have not put it in. And yeah, I need to do that now. Hang on. Okay. Right. You're going to hear a lot of cicadas. You can probably hear my washing machine. I've got to take this hat off. It's just too much. Oh my gosh. So warm today. Okay, so we're doing pretty well. I think we've got most of our things labelled. Numbering is a little bit out, but hey, that's life. I've got this mostly done. And where is it? There's something here. I need to highlight this because we don't usually have a crypt in your villain's lair. This is the thing that I can't remember what I'm supposed to shuffle out with. So let's get rid of this image here. I'll drop in a replacement for now. Copy and paste. So how are people doing? Are people making their own stuff up? Are you just using pre-made stuff? How's it all going with your games? Kind of curious. This here will be changed, but I'm not going to deal with that just yet. It's not really the fun bit, so I will come back to you and we'll highlight it. We'll get rid of this because that's Wizards of the Coast. You can go. Thank you very much. What about lair actions? Now, lair actions are associated and they don't need to be tied necessarily to the lair itself because they're really, lair actions are tied to the monster. Do you know what I mean? And that's only for 5e. Do you know what I mean? It's not lair actions. There's something there then now. Is the alarm. I think it's the alarm I was supposed to mention, wasn't it? I was supposed to mention the alarm. Because there's usually alarm systems as well. And I put this in here. So lair actions, like I said, this is a mechanic that's used in 5e rather than any old role-playing game. And they don't necessarily need to be something you build into your location and your adventure in that way. And they can look very different. So we'll come back to that. We can talk about lair actions if you want. But I think what we're really talking about is alarm systems. And I'm getting rid of all of this D&D Beyond stuff that's going to go. There is no sponsor for this one. This is just this. We'll put a map in here later, but it's not going to be. So we're going to villain lair map. That's what we want. Villain lair. Or hideout map. Yep, right, we'll get rid of this. So if you're looking at the Red Brand hideout, I want to just point out a couple of little problems of this location. First of all, there are no alarm systems. There are no alarm systems near the entry points. So this is the main entry point, area 1. The area 8 this is 10 feet to the forest going to the south here. This area here into area 8 is a secret passageway. It's hidden, but it's not hidden very well. It's got no alarm system on it and it's got no guards on it. Like, that's the worst thing you could possibly do. This area here it's not hidden here. The hidden section is the secret door over here, but there are at least some guards set up. Again, not a great thing to do. What you really want to do is you want to hide the entrance if you can. Partly what's been done here is to sort of suggest that what's underneath the ruins of Tresendor Manor is just this little cellar and nothing else, rather than all this other complex, which is fine. But again, like there is no trap on the secret door, which there should be, and there's no trap set up on the secret entranceway or passageway, which there should be. Secret doors in here, you can see them marked out. Almost the back entrance this is supposed to be a back entranceway for glass stuff, and the DC-10s. So in other words, a complete moron, an idiot, could find it if they just fell over their nose. Like, that's not a good way to set things up. Not only that, none of them have fail-safe things, so if somebody does find the secret door, there's no trap set up there. If you have Glassstaff had a reset button or some way of deactivating them quickly when you needed to leave to use them to escape, that would be the smart way to go. This is not smart. This here being a secret door, again, it doesn't make sense. Why is there a secret door when you're already in the main complex anyway? A secret door to this location? Makes no sense. Secret doors here do make sense, but there's no traps. And there should be. Yes, don't design your villain lair like that. Anyway. Let's copy. Let's replace that map. Oops. Replace that map at a later date. And... oh, it doesn't matter. I'm going to reposition this all later anyway. Okay, so this I have to get rid of, unfortunately, because that will be a Wizards of the Coast thing, more than likely. So I'll ditch that now, and I'll go copy, and I'll paste this in. Just a blank for now. Put it in, fix it up later. Okay, so what we want to call this here is types of villain lairs. Now I think I said types of villain lairs and hideouts, which is good. That's fine. We'll do that. And hideouts. Okay, cool. We'll come back to that in a second. Not worried about that. Just bear with me. I'm going to start asking you a question in a second around villain lairs. You probably know most of the answers already. Pardon me. And so, lair entrance. 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 Come on, Fred. Okay, got it. Okay, lair entrance. Come on, you got to be kidding. What have I done? Entrance. Entrance. There we go. All right. Back it up. All right, got it. Sweet. That's that better. All right, so next one. It's not barracks. It should be secret doors. This should be called secret doors. And under secret doors, we're really talking about secret passageways as well, frankly. It wouldn't be just that. We don't need to take out the image. I don't believe it belongs to Wizards of the Coast, so I'll leave that. Traps, though. Next, I think, was definitely traps I wanted to talk about. So this is setting up traps and adjudicating. So here. Adjudicating and trap setup. The trap that we've got there is fine. We can leave that there. Oh no, undo that. Whoops, that was a mistake. What did I do? No, couldn't get it down. I want to go down and I want to go backspace. There we go. Ah ha ha. And trap setup. Okay, cool. Next, Tressendor crypts. I believe that I have at this present time marked it down as I don't know, because I need to go and look at some notes that I made for it, and I haven't done that yet, which I will. No, come on, really? All right, backspace. Okay, cool, that's better. The image is definitely Wizards of the Coast, so I'm going to take it out, and we're going to put in something that's more suitable for that in a second. What is the size? It's a square. We'll put a square in there. Copy. Just a black square for now. Paste. Okay. And that'll do. Alright, sweet. Moving down. I believe this is... remember we were talking about jails and prisons? You must always have a jail or a prison. This is Wizards of the Coast stuff again. You almost always have a jail or a prison in a villain's lair. And the type of prison or secured location that you have is really very much up to you, but that'll be something you put in. So prisons and jails. And jails. What do we got here? What do you got here, Mike? Apparently J.R.R. Tolkien said that cellar door was the most beautiful phrase in the English language. Really? Cellar door? Like a cellar door. Could be a cellar door, couldn't it? There. Now, the armory, the image we can keep, I'm fine with keeping the armory as it is, because that was the next thing I want to talk about. Is usually an armory where they have all their weapons stored. The storage room is fine, and I'm just going to call it the storage room. Almost always you will find a storage room. It'd be unusual not to. The image is not Wizards of the Coast, so that's fine too. Did I actually get rid of that? No, I didn't. I don't know how I managed to make that work, but okay. It's coming along. A lot of adjusting. Right, this is Wizards of the Coast. It's gone. Bye-bye. And we'll put a place marker for here for now. That'll just go. And the crevice, we were calling the crevice something else, if I remember right. We had skipped it, removed it, and adjusted its position. It's 8, 7, 8, 9. This is 10. This is 11. And the last one, escape route, will be 12. Okay. Alright, so going back here. I need to adjust this whole slide needs to be removed. So I need to cut it and shift its position to here and paste. And then rename it 12. What do you got here, Fred? Instead of rebrand, call them rebranded. Well, you could do that. Sure, why not? Nice and funny. Escape route and passage. So escape route. Basically, I don't need to say anything about it. Just escape route. Escape route. Alright. Moving along nicely. Miscellaneous. We'll be changing all of that stuff. This is going to come out as well because that belongs to Wizards of the Coast. To put a place marker for now. That didn't work. Oh, undo. I've done it again. I've copied and pasted it into the wrong place. Okay. Alright. So, grab the black one. Copy. And chuck that into here. Paste. Okay. That's better. Right. So, glass staff is 11. It's not glass staffs anymore. It is actually... Now, this, I don't know... Who does this belong to? This is not actually the villain I want to put here. Because this villain is... it's just not that villainous, really. Villain quarters. We're going to get rid of this. Because it doesn't matter who it belongs to. Because, frankly, it's not really what I want to put there. Since I get to do whatever I like with this, let's put something cooler there. So we'll put this here for now. And I'll come back to that. Dear. Villain quarters... 12, 13, 11. Okay, so this is now 10. There is always... Oh, did I manage to do this correctly? No, I didn't. It gives me so much trouble. That's good. Did I do that? That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, here we go. This one. This I got to get rid of, unfortunately. That's pretty sure was the coast. So this is the villain workshop. And now it might be the villain study. It might not be the workshop. So we're going to put in or workshop or study. That's what we want. And we need a placeholder for this. What's this? Mirror image, all maps. Where are you going to get your new images from? Plus the stuff. Some of them I'll make with artificial intelligence. Some of them I'll take from real world photographs. I've actually been replacing a lot of my slide images with photographs because often they aren't things that you can copyright as a photograph off Creative Commons. So it's probably a safer bet in terms of copyright. And YouTube is cracking down on all of that sort of stuff as it is. A lot of the time I'm using stuff that is available for free somewhere that doesn't got any sort of legal stuff attached to it. So yeah, and I will also take some photos myself. That's another good way of doing it. So let's just make sure I put down 10, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Alright, so 4 is the one I wanted now. I'm pretty sure I know there's something I need to put there, and I'm pretty sure I know what it is. So, and it won't be too hard. We're going to leave the knuckle bones, the guard, barracks. Okay, so what have I done here? I've gone here 12, 11, 10, 9. That should be 9. We don't need to rename the title though. Plaster staff, wrap familiar, bad smell. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Guards, guard barracks. The image is no good because it is definitely Wizards of the Coast. So it'll go. I'll put something else there that's a bit more interesting anyway. And copy and paste that in there. Okay. Alright, so where are we up to? 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. 8 and go down and backspace. There we go. Guards and barracks. Guards and barracks. I think that's what we want. Guards and barracks. And we'll just make this smaller for now. 12, 11, 8, 9, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think I got all the bits in here. It's just this one that is the problem. So there is a thing that we need to have in a villain's lair that isn't actually... There's one example of this, and this is probably the only place in the Red Brand Hideout where there's an example of what you need to have in your villain's lair. An alarm system. There should still be an alarm system. A lot of your villain's lair is going to have security. Security is like really important. Secret doors is security. Guards is security. Traps, security. But an alarm system. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a trap. It's an alarm system that activates, that lets you know what's going on. And before I plug this in, I am going to send you out a prompt and get you to do a little bit of homework while I am doing this. And that is the following. Hashtag. For those of you who are still here. What types of villain lairs are there? Now I've already got a couple of things floating around in my head. I kind of know what I need to put there, but I'm kind of interested what you think are the different types of villain lairs. We'll see how you do in terms of your list, and we'll see if it lines up with my list. Now I need to go here. Did I want to go there? No, I don't want to go there. I don't need to go there. I can go down because I put it into the description of this video, didn't I? What was it? It was bum 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 bum. No, 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 no. Escape passages, miscellaneous. Done. Can I find it? Ah, okay. I know what I'll do. That's probably the easiest way. I'll do it that way. That's what I'll do. I'll flick it around to that. Alright, I'm pulling it out. Long lag? Yeah, maybe. I don't know what's going on today. Maybe YouTube is having some trouble. A bit of lag. Quite a lot of lag, actually. I even noticed it myself. Alright. So, now that I've done that, do I want to put it there, though? Because there's a thing here that we still need to talk about, and that is, yes, that's what we need to do. I'll put it in. I'll put it in here. It's as good a place as any. And you can't see what I'm doing, can you? Because I haven't shifted back over. Let me just switch back over to there. There we go. So 4. Oh, come on. 4. No. Yes. Custom. Why am I seeing nothing that looks like a unhighlight option? Streamline. Okay, that's better. Oh, come on. Transparent. Okay, there we go. That's better. Roleplay NPCs. Pretty obvious. And what I think I'll do is I'll put alarms. I'm going to put alarms and traps together. Setting up alarms and traps. There we go. That's probably more what I wanted, so we'll do that. Setting up alarms and traps. Okay. Role-playing non-player characters. Oh. Yes. No, apparently not again. Get it right. There. And none. Okay. Role-playing non-player characters. Okay. I think that has got everything that needed to be in there. Quarters, escape routes, passageways, and miscellaneous. Okay, so that's I'm fine with that. That's a good start. And we'll just go back to here. This is prisons. This is alarm and trap setup, and this is gosh, let's just turn that into this transparent role-playing NPCs. Here we go. Hello Nacho Man, how are you doing? Nacho Man is a patron and supports me on Patreon. Welcome. What are we doing today? I am doing types of lairs, villain lairs basically, where I'm rebuilding the Red Brand hideout, and we're making it for adventures in general, and sort of highlighting the main things that you would need with your lair. So I thought that would be a good thing to do. Yes, exactly. Yeah, Mike's right. Mike Hall's got it right on the money. It's turning the Red Brand hideout Phandelver lesson into a generic villain lair lesson. Yeah, and yes, you have put down a whole lot of very good points. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to start transitioning some of these little ideas that you've got here in here. And we'll do it under the Google Doc for now, and I'll transfer it over. Because a lot of this other stuff is not so important. Yeah, well, I want it to be more useful, not just for somebody who's running... I've said before that the Lost Mine of Phandelver Dungeon Master tutorial is designed for beginners, but it's also designed to help people coming back into dungeon mastering and game mastering, and to just assist them with that adventure. But a lot of the things that it goes over transfer over to other adventures. But because it's not packaged that way, it doesn't look that way. It still looks like, oh, well, I wouldn't go be interested in that because it's got the words Lost Mine of Phandelver, and I'm not running the Lost Mine of Phandelver. I'm running something else. So I thought it would be a good idea if we actually sort of transitioned that stuff over. That was just my thoughts. So what I want to do, I want to go back to my face for a second, just briefly, because there is something I just need to check before we proceed. And then I'm going to start typing in some of these types that we were talking about before. Where are we? Looking through here. Mike, I haven't seen you for a while, so I was like, oh, when I saw Mike Hall, you've jumped up in the comments from time to time, but I haven't seen you for ages. It's been a long time. It's nice to have you back. In any case. Alright, so let's do this. Types of villains lairs. So Mike has put down the following. And right now, this is probably way too small, so I'll need to make this bigger. So you can see it. Is that better? That's probably huge now. It's probably huge, but oh well, let's adjust it so you can actually see what's going on. And my face, my head, I guess you have to put up with it being bigger as well. Terrible. There we go. That's better. Okay, so that's a little bit easier to see. The writing's not quite so tiny because it was very small before. Okay. I know they reused the lair in the Acquisitions Incorporated book. Yes, they did. So, first things first. You've got here laboratory workshop. So, probably the most common is the castle. Castle, fortress, or fortified tower. They essentially fall under the same thing. But yeah, that's definitely one of your major ones that you'll use. You can usually see them that are that have heavy security and are easily easily found. So you can it's easy to find, but it's harder to get in. But difficult to infiltrate. infiltrate or siege. Because you don't really want to have to siege a castle if you can help it, because it's not that simple. Siege. So i.e. siege. Okay, it is. Okay, cool. Now, the next one is probably the stupidest villain lair that you can have, and that is the volcanic mountain. Like, how many villains have a volcanic mountain as their lair? Volcanic mountain with hazardous. Hazardous terrain that is hidden. Like, it's a silly thing to have, but people like to put them in. They put in a undead cockatrice. What's this? You were just looking through the acquisitions incorporated version of the Red Brand hideout. They put in a cockatrice. Yeah, there you go. There's a defensive mechanism. Next. The next one would be your underground. Should I just say subterranean? Subterranean. Complex or cave system that is hidden below the ground. So that's you're probably one of your next most common types of villain lair. Sharks with friggin' lasers. Yeah. The next most common sort of type of villain lair or hideout that you would have is your underwater one. So your aquatic, because it's like having a moat from above, below, from all the sides. Like, it's better than a castle having an aquatic, what are you going to call it? Aquatic city? Or what's another word for this? I can't think of. Aquatic complex. Somebody's going to have to shake my brain a little bit. I had something floating around in my head. I was trying to think back to. Okay, so we're just going to put complex for now. I don't know what else to say with that one. So complex that is below the ocean or underwater, providing a natural barrier from all directions. The last thing anybody wants to do in any kind of role-playing game is go underwater. Like Atlantis. Exactly, Mike. You've got it. Yeah. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of symbolism with that, for sure. The next one is the floating city or space station, basically. The floating city or space station. That can only be reached by flying. which of course flying is a difficult thing to do, and you can usually see people coming. So yes, but sticking a castle on a floating cloud or on a giant rock that floats around, or having some sort of station that floats in space is another way of sort of having a villain's lair. And they build in like natural ways of dealing with people who would try to infiltrate, so you can keep the player characters out. And so they have to solve the problem of trying to get in. But you can usually see them. Unless, of course, you're dealing with Moonraker, James Bond, and it's invisible. You can't see it at all. It doesn't show up. But usually these will be visible. But magic, you can make things invisible. Yeah, like where Jar Jar Binks lived, Matt. That's exactly right. Jar Jar Binks was underwater. Now there's another one. This is much more varied. This is the mobile villain lair. That can be like a ship. I guess we'll say sailing ship, might be a sailing ship, spaceship, submarine. So the Nautilus and Captain Nemo had a submarine, so you might have a villain who uses a submarine to use as a lair, and it moves around, stuff like that. And then the other one is, does anybody remember, or has anybody ever watched the movie Mortal Engines, where you have these sort of cities that move around? They're on rollers, they sort of, they're carnivorous. They sort of eat other cities or towns and so forth for their resources. And they don't stay in one place because the resources available are just not good enough in one place. You have to keep moving to be able to survive. So you have a mobile... You can do this with a castle. You can do this. You can stick it on the back of a huge tortoise. You can stick it on wheels. You could literally have a city that moves around. There's also, if you've ever watched John Carter, there is it Zandanga? I believe it's a Zandanga, the predator city, which is on legs, that walks around like a great huge centipede, and it's basically the concept that it's you're trying to take over all of Barsum or Mars, and that's another example of a walking fortress or a flying fortress. Yes, we could put flying fortress in there. So we'll put in here submarine, spaceship, flying fortress. Oh, come on. Flying fortress. Floating. Flying fortress, floating what? No, we've got that. These aren't so mobile. Space stations, not so mobile. They don't just move around. Floating cities just sort of stay in the one spot. So flying fortress, you can move it around. It would be like a flying fortress or castle. And then I was just talking about it. It's a mobile city, but what would you call it? Ooh, I'm really struggling trying to get my head around this. Hello, how are you doing, Overboard? Overboard is a patron and a moderator, and has a YouTube channel that deals with miniatures and terrain. You should definitely check him out when you get a chance. He does reviews as well on stuff that you usually don't see too, which is kind of nice. So a walking city or a walking fortress. Putting it on spider legs is always fun too. I'm just going to put mobile. Yeah, I'll just put mobile. City or castle with legs or rollers. There, that's what I wanted to get in there. So those are your types of villain lairs. I think that pretty much covers everything with regard to lairs. Okay, if I've missed something, you'll let me know. Camper van. Giant chicken legs, exactly. Yes, like a house on giant chicken legs. So, for example, you're pulling from. I know who you're pulling from. So it's top of the hour, and I should take a break and then come back to this, and then we'll start filling out some of the other stuff. I am just going to go highlight here for now, because I'm not probably going to use any of this. Not for this section. What I want to do is I want to transfer it over to the slide, and then I want to be able to sort of expand on these things. But I also want to go over, I probably won't expand them today. What I think I will do is I want to go over some of the other things, like it's really important to talk about secret doors and passageways. It's really important to talk about alarm systems, traps, guards, things like that, because they're really, really, really important. A mobile safe house, exactly. So let's pose you a question. I think what I should do is I should pose you a question, and we can pull from various locations for this. Our lair entrance, I don't want to actually talk too much about the lair entrance, although that's probably the next thing in the order that we should talk about. So I'm going to just highlight this as well. We'll come back to that, okay? Instead, let's talk about secret doors. Because secret doors are one of those things that people always seem to balls up really badly, because they don't really understand what they're doing with them. And Wizards of the Coast don't really give you advice around doing it properly, because they just don't. I don't know why, but they just don't. So, secret doors. So let's pose you a question, and we'll see how your information stacks up with mine. And we'll give you this question while I go take a quick toilet break. Hashtag. How should secret doors and passageways be set up and used? Like, that is probably the most important thing at the very beginning of our lair, is like, how should your secret doors and passages be set up and used? Like, if you can get that right, you've done most of the work that you needed to put in place, right? So let's put that forward as a question I pose to you, and then I'll come back and I'll start filling in what I have for you. Okay, so 5 minutes or less. I'll be back. Okay, here we go. Back I come. Right, so now almost ready to transition back into here. We'll just go back to our workspace and then we'll go continue. There we go, I think that's right. Moving across. There we go, there we go, there we go. In. Okay, what do you got here, Nacho Man? Got to have a library where you need to move a book or to push to open a secret door. It's a cliche for a reason. Yeah, it is very much. You say the magic word, absolutely. Hello, Warren, how are you? Door for loot, panic room, door for escape route. Maybe a door that is a speed route from main foray to your office. Also the door that goes from the civilized part of your operation to the shady part. Very much so, Warren. You're very, very correct about pretty much all of that. So let me just go over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drop into here the different types of lairs, and then we're going to go over that. So that is castle, fortress, or tower. What was the other one I had here? Volcanic mountain. Volcanic mountain, got to have it. Volcanic mountain. The other one was subterranean complex or caves. Subterranean complex caves. What was the other one I wanted to put in here? Aquatic city or complex. I guess that's, yeah. Aquatic city or complex. What was the other? Floating city, space station. Floating city or space station. Yep. And what was the mobile villain lair? Mobile villain lair or vehicle. Really, that's what we want. Get that. Space station, sweet. I don't know, something like this. No, it doesn't want to do that. Let's just make it a bit bigger. No, too big. Okay. All right. So back to secret doors. The door your mistress uses versus everyone else. The secret door to the sewer is another classic, yes. Okay. So, excluding all of this stuff here, because this really isn't necessarily going to help us too much. So I'm going to just go down and highlight that area for now. And we'll go highlight. Yep. Okay, this is where we start. So first off, secret doors should be difficult to find. And passageways should be difficult to find. Now, one of the problems with making your secret door or passageway difficult to find is then your players may never find them. So you have to accept that you will have secret doors and passageways that in your adventure and in the lair for your villain that your players may never find unless they are perceptive enough or smart enough to look in the right place and in the right way. Otherwise, they'll never find them. If you're going to set your DCs so low that they're always going to find them anyway, then there's really no point in having a DC for it. You might as well have the secret door not be a secret door, or if the secret door is going to be there, somebody left it open. And this is essentially what they've done in the Red Brand hideout, is they almost leave like a secret door open, really, when you think about it. Like it's like virtually one of them is still open. When you wouldn't think that it would be, but apparently it is. So, yes, puzzles can go with your secret doors. So the other thing about secret doors and passageways should be difficult to find, but it should generally be difficult to open or use open a secret door unless you know the correct method. There's a reason why I put Wally's DM's Journal of Puzzle Encounters in here, because it really much, as Nacho's mentioned, this is where secret doors and passageways almost always need to have some sort of security to make sure that they can't be accessed if they are found, because there's always a possibility they will be found. So, security on a secret door or passageway needs to include alarm systems, traps, and locks. Like, even if you find the secret door, you may have to get past a lock. Locks and puzzles to open them safely. So, secret door is going to have security. Passageway, going to have security. Whether you use all of these things or just one of these things is up to you. But generally, you think about the real world when you have security on a place. You have an alarm system. If they were allowed to legally put in traps, they'd put in traps, but most of the time you can't. But if they were allowed to, they would put in an alarm system. So an electric fence has got an alarm system, yes, but it's also a trap, or essentially it creates a barrier, so you can't, if you touch it, you're done for. But then, something like security cameras, stuff like that for observing. What would be the word that I want to put in here? And this applies to the entrance to a large extent, to the security stuff as well. Monitoring. Do I want to put the word monitoring? I kind of do, but not quite yet. So these are things that you should have. So what are the secret doors used for? Secret doors and passageways have a purpose. The purpose of secret doors and passageways is to make it difficult to find the entrance, shortcuts, through the lair, provide escape routes, yeah, I want to add in something else here as well. What was the other word I was going to put in here? So if you're wondering what we're going to do after secret doors and passageways, we're going to be going into traps. That's where I'm going to head next. Okay, what do you got here? Nacho man. I sometimes write a riddle for a secret in a language that I know one of the players speaks to open a door. So it makes the player feel special. I usually aim at the more quiet players. Okay. So that's a smart way of looking at this. Just going back to Warren's statement, doors for loot. That's a good point, and I hadn't considered that because it's. I was going to say hiding something. So secret doors for hiding treasure vaults, panic rooms. It's a good point. Doors for escape routes. Yes, we've got the escape route there. What else you got here? Maybe a door that is a speedy route for a rain and stuff. This is the... I think I've already got this here. Shortcuts through the lair. Yep. The shadier parts, yes. It's very much about hiding something. So to find the entrance... Difficult. The entrance or existence of specific locations, such as, and this is here, shortcuts, I think we've got that all down. Did I miss anything? I'm just trying to remember if I've missed anything. I think I've got it all. Yeah, okay, so there's our secret doors. Alright, so what's the other thing that I need to say about secret doors? I'm probably going to come back to this, because secret doors is actually quite a big involved bit. And I have a huge beef currently with particularly Wizards of the Coast, but it's not just Wizards of the Coast, but other adventures that are written where you have a villain's lair and there are secret doors and passageways included. Because they just never seem to do it particularly well. It's always half pie, and the rationale and reason for doing it is they want them to progress. So the solution to this is the only secret door that really should be easy to find is the access point to the villain's lair. The only secret door that might be easier to find, or the player's characters will be given information on, is the entrance to the villain's lair. villain lair, so that they can engage in the adventure. All other secret doors in a villain's lair, they are optional and not necessary to find to complete the adventure. It would be nice to find the treasure vault, but you may never find the treasure vault. So there's always going to be, this is one of those times where a game master has to accept that some of their secret locations will never be found. All other secret doors in a villain's lair are optional and not necessary to find to complete the adventure. Game masters are recommended to accept some secret and hidden locations will not be found by the player characters. I know that's a big ask, people. I really do. But if you can get your head around that, it's going to help you a lot. Just accepting that there are certain things they just will not find for whatever reason. So that's secret doors and passageways. All the things that you really need to know and understand about secret doors and passageways and how they kind of work in your villain's lair. And in fact, whether it's a villain's lair or it's a dungeon or something else, it's pretty much the same. But very important for a villain's lair. Okay, let's go into alarms and traps. I think probably most of you are pretty aware of the different types of traps out there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this section here. These are my, actually I'm going to undo that for a second. And I will just drop it down one. So there's a bullet point that isn't highlighted. And let's do that. I'll highlight that bit there and we'll come up. Okay. My question to you, and that is, when it comes to alarms, how many different types of alarms can you think of that you might include in your villain's lair? And how often have alarms actually been included in your own adventures, whether you made them yourself or they were pre-made adventures? How often did you actually have an alarm system that would be activated? I can almost assure you that alarm systems very rarely exist in pre-made adventures made by Wizards of the Coast. And they in fact very rarely appear in any pre-made adventure made by any company under the sun. It's one of those big failings of all adventures. It makes sense that there would be an alarm system and yet they'd never have one. Now, is this because they don't have electricity and so they don't have a laser beam that you can pass by that then sends a signal to somewhere? Is it simply too difficult to set up an alarm system? Well, I think that's nonsense myself. But let's talk about alarms. Alarms can be, and we're going to make a big list. So Wally doesn't have a trap book right now, it's a puzzle book. He is working on a trap book as well though. That's coming in the future. That's why some locations move. I don't believe in wastage. Yeah, you can move stuff around if you need to. Okay, so hashtag what alarm systems might a villain's lair have? So I'm going to write some things down while you guys are permeating or considering those. So probably the most obvious types of alarm system is your wind chime. You can have a wind chime, but you can have a chime of some kind. So let's see. String line chimes. So basically, you have a string line, somebody knocks over the string line, it activates the chime, which then you can be heard. So we're dealing with sound. Spells that have an alarm function. There are spells out there that would do that. You can set up that are sort of like an alarm. And then broken glass is also another alarm system. It is a very, I mean, it's not really designed to communicate stuff for over a long distance, but broken glass on a hard ground surface. You've seen in movies, broken glass. Matt, you're welcome. Thank you for showing up for the vast majority of this. I do appreciate it. I can assure you this will get better and better and better. Like, I'll keep running this and it will just get stronger and stronger over time. A pull cable mechanism. Monsters as an alarm. Yes, Nacho, absolutely. Monsters can be an alarm system. Can anybody think of a monster that might be like an alarm system? Because there's monsters that make noises and there's monsters that don't do this. So, pulling a cable down mechanism. So we're talking about buttons and levers hooked up to a siren. Connected to bells or siren. Monster lookouts or creature lookouts. Animated armor. Yes, something like animated armor might be it. Animated armor tends to not be an alarm. It tends to be a guard. So if we're talking about creature lookouts, we're not talking about a creature that will ever fight. It might be something as simple as a rat that communicates to somebody, or and this was actually in the Red Brand hideout. We have a rat that is supposed to look out and operate like an alarm system. Somebody comes in a particular way. You could also have birds. You might have insects. You might have some other creature that is, it's not obvious that it's going to be a threat, but it communicates the information that is required when need be. Gargoyles and golems. Gargoyles and golems usually are guards. So we'll come to guards. Right now it's just the alarm system. All we're trying to do is tell somebody there's something wrong. That's all we're trying to do right now. There's probably more, but we'll come back to that. And let's just drop down here. Okay, traps. Now this is where things get. So what I probably also need to. Let's just communicate the concept of what a trap and alarm is. So, because I think people are going to get a little confused. Spell wards, yes. Spells that have an alarm function, yes, we got that there. An alarm in a villain's lair is only intended to indicate or communicate quickly that intruders have entered the site. So that's what your alarm is trying to do. It's not a trap, it's just trying to communicate. That's what we're trying to do with an alarm, right? It's very, very simple. Okay, traps. Traps in a lair, villain's lair, can be designed to do a few different things, such as capture intruders. So capturing intruders would still be a trap. Kill, maim, or injure. And what was the other thing? And now sometimes you put in a trap, and the idea behind the trap is not so much to capture them, capture the intruder, kill, maim, or injure, but it's to scare them off and scare and scare unwanted visitors away. So traps can do a lot of different things. So that means I think most of the time we're kind of used to traps that do two things. They either kill you or they maim or injure you in some way. We don't usually see a lot of traps that are designed to capture intruders or scare them away. And this is not, I don't know that this is necessarily a fault of adventure design, but you'll almost always see that most traps are designed either, for Wizards of the Coast, it's mostly just maim and injure, like you lose a few hit points. Very rarely do they kill you, but you don't see capture very often, and you don't see scare people away. They're usually not set up that way, but you can do that yourself because that's how traps work. Okay, the types of traps game masters can use, and the list is huge. Like, you'd be amazed at just how many there are. And I think probably the easiest thing to do at this point is to give you a whole bunch of different ideas, and if I need to explain any of them, I will. But what I'm going to do here is I know I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to highlight some stuff here and come back to it, because I will have to. obviously. There's no way I can get it all done in one sitting. It took me months, almost a year, to build this program. For those of you who are wondering why I don't do this in the dregs in my spare time, because there is no spare time anymore, and it would take years to get it done again, and I can't do this in my holiday time again. It messed me up too badly. So hence this is why I'm doing it here, which means you wind up seeing the thought process of my brain going tick 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 tick, and wind up being, I did this on Discord with a lot of the people who joined me on Discord who were patrons or who just found my Discord, or I provided the link to my Discord, and they would sit, they would chat with me in video or voice chat about all the stuff I was doing, and I would share what I was doing as I was doing it. And I found this really, really useful as a process. It isn't necessarily nice and clean and easy for those people who want just a quick few minutes, give me some advice and then move on. But one of the great things about it is, and this is what my channel has done for a while now, is I've tried to be as all-encompassing as I possibly can. I've tried to go into a lot of detail. Like for years I did short stuff, and we didn't go into a lot of detail. I'm hoping that I can eventually start cutting these live streams down into shorter form videos for people who prefer that sort of thing, but it's not possible yet. And that is almost all of that nonsense done. You can see how much work there is involved. These are all the notes that I read out when I'm doing this presentation, by the way. And so this presentation is long. And then I had an update to this. I don't know if I ever ran it. Did I run this section? I did an update. What happens if the player characters join the red brands? And I wrote this out very much for that program, which is kind of a shame that it's never probably going to get seen other than today by you. For those of you who are wondering, where is this? Because I never seen it in any of the other Lost Mine of Phandelver notes that I've ever released. It's because it was new stuff that I had planned to release as part of an update to the Game Master or Dungeon Master handout that I put up on Patreon, but also as part of the video presentation. So this is all that stuff right there in front of me right now. That's all that stuff that's sort of sitting there that I'd been working on for a very specific purpose. Okay. If you're on Patreon and you want me to send you that information as part of the document, you'll have to let me know. Okay. Because at this present time, I haven't really thought about doing that. Heading to Ant-Man. Catch you later. Oh, Nacho Man. Yeah, cool. Let me know what you think of Ant-Man. I understand it's very decisive. It's not decisive. It's very... A lot of people say they hate it. A lot of people say they like it. It hasn't been reviewed well. It's not done well in the reviews, and I'm kind of curious as to why. I still want to see it myself because it's Ant-Man, and I like Ant-Man and the Wasp. As soon as the Wasp became like the co-hero with Ant-Man, I think it just changed the whole balance of those movies. My favorite is not the first Ant-Man. It's actually Ant-Man and the Wasp. I haven't seen Quantumania, the third one yet, which I certainly would like to do. Okay, so types of traps. Let's have a look at what we've got here and the very few minutes that we have available to us, which isn't very many. And I believe the Pathfinder Game Mastery Guide will have a whole bunch of different traps listed, because that's how this book works. Magic types, dungeon entrances, no, wizard effects, random amenities, shops, tavern, discovery, types of weather. I would have thought I thought there was a section under locations that there was traps involved in here. Hazards, here we go. Customizing your game. Haunts, drugs, disasters, time terminology. Weird. NPC toolbox, rewards, crediting. Okay. Advanced topics. Is it under advanced topics? 228. 228. It's not actually that easy to find in this book, much to my surprise. Hazards, drugs, no. Fortune telling, gambling, haunts, hazards, sample hazards. We don't have, we've got puzzles, we don't have traps. Well, that's weird. Okay, so I'll put that book aside. I've got a few books in front of me, by the way. Blade, Pugmy, Poison Gas, Noisemaker, Weight Trip, Pit Trap. It's the Deep Pit. We'll put that in, and I'm going to just pick up this book here. Now, I could pick up the Game Master, the Dungeon Master book for 5e, but it actually has bugger all. I'm actually holding in my hand the wrong book. It's this book here. I've actually got the Dungeons and Dragons 4e Dungeon Master Guide in my hand right now. And this has got a much more extensive list of ideas. Hello, Spirit Wolf. How are you? Welcome to the party just before I'm about to finish. We're going to type in very quickly many different traps, if I can just find that page. Oh, no, world, God, no, campaign, adventures, furnishings, non-combat, traps. There we go, traps and hazards, 85. It's got a section on puzzles, but I wouldn't frankly, I wouldn't bother with anybody else's book other than Wally DM's, if you ask me. 85. I think everybody else's advice on that sort of stuff has been pretty shit. And I don't use puzzles that often in my games. Yeah, you could be late, that's all right. Okay, so false floor, pit flat, pit trap. So they call it the false floor. We can call it deep pit, but we call it false floor. We'll do that. That's that. We can put that in here. There's a whole bunch of sample ideas in here. False floor. Pit trap. False floor pit. So that's our first one. And next is the rock slide. Although it can also fall under natural hazards. The spear gauntlet. So basically spear shootout. Whoops, gauntlet. That's that one. The magic crossbow turret. So this is when you find a statue and there's usually a crossbow being held by it, but there can be other ways of doing this. Doom spores. Doom spores is basically you're using fungus. Okay, it's a puffball. There are illusions. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was groceries fault. Illusion. Wall of floor. Wall or floor. The pendulum scythes, very popular. Pendulum, probably my favourite one because I've seen it work much more effectively than other traps that I've used over the years. I don't know why. I think it's the combination of stuff. Whirling blades. What's the What's the other thing? No. Poison dart wool. That's right. Like as in Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know what I'm talking about. When he's trying to get the golden statue. Poison dart wool. Next is glyph of warding. You're probably very familiar with the glyph of warding. So the glyph of warding is not an alarm. The glyph of warding is a trap. Okay. The daggerthorn briar. So this is a thorn briar. Thorn briar. Illusion of a rabbit that is really an owlbear. We're talking about monsters here. The flame jet. You know what I'm talking about here. Caustic geysers. Oh. Caustic geyser. Electrified floor. Why not? Spiritual tentacles. Spectral tentacles. Tendrils, spectral tendrils. Basically, these are sort of like ghost tentacles that grab onto a cave-in. Can act as a trap. What else? There's so many of these. You won't understand what that is, so I can't use it. No. Kinetic wave. Collapse. No. 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 Sphere of annihilation. Oh, God. Annihilation. Sphere of annihilation. I'm sure you are very familiar with that. The water. Yes. The crushing wall and ceiling. The water tank. The water tank room. That's essentially what we're talking about here. Guards and wards. Guards will do separately from traps. Okay. Poison needle. Yes, poison needle. Put a poison needle on a door handle. The sand trap. The quicksand, basically. So this is just quicksand. The slide. The slide is usually used to trap somebody. So this is a capturing technique. So that is all of the traps from that book. Done. Now let's have a look at. I should be going. Let's get real. I should be on my horse and travelling, but we'll grab the ones from the 5e book. I'll bet you that there's bugger all in here, because that's how this book runs, baby. That's how this book runs. Traps. 120 in this book. Let's have a look. Looks like 120. Where's the page? Now, they did a better job of traps than other books, but okay. So first off, we have collapsing roof. Yeah, we have the cave-in. Collapsing roof and cave-in is kind of like the same thing. Collapsing roof is... I'll put it in. It's kind of the same thing. Collapsing roof. Falling net. Falling net we didn't have. What else? Fire-breathing statue. Oh, this is really... The fire-breathing statue is just another representation of the flame jet. Pits. We've got the false floor pit. Poison darts, we've got that. Poison needle, we've got that. The rolling sphere from Indiana Jones, of course. Got to have that. or in sphere, or boulder. I got it. We've got the sphere annihilation, and that's all there is. That's it. There's nothing else in that one. It's very, very slim. Not a lot. Falling ceiling, we've got that. Do I take a horse to work, Fred? No. I will use a car. But anyway, that there is probably all we can get done. We've still got a lot to do. Okay. We've still got the entrance to fill out. We'll come back and cover that another day. Role-playing non-player characters. I have to be very general about that. But prisons and jails we'll talk about. The armory, storage rooms, types of guards, and barracks. So this is where you're going to put your monsters and your guards. Your common room. We'll come to the villain's workshop and the villain's quarters. I'm kind of looking forward to it. The escape route, we also need to cover that as well. And some miscellaneous recommendations. So not too bad. We did enough, I guess, for today. Hopefully this at least gets you some of the reason why I went over these ones in particular. If I'd got the escape route done as well, that would be great. But we've got you the main bits and pieces you really need. Your security around your lair, your villain's lair, is probably the most important thing. And often it's the thing that people leave out. So, yeah. So let me just whip over here and have a look at this poll. For the life of me, I can't see it right now. Here we go. The cursed door, a chest. The cursed door, curses. I hadn't said anything about curses, did I? Curses is something I had left out. I'll just need to make a quick note and just put down curse for now. Where are we? Curse, traps, curses. But you're right, curses is a thing. Curses. Okay. All right, I've got it in. It's done. It's marked down, so I know. Teleportation. Teleportation traps. Teleportation. Did I mention that? No, I didn't. You teleport them into the prison. Exactly. All right, let's have a look at this poll. Let's end it. 14 votes. And for those of you who used to like the miniatures and maps and so forth, I've got plenty of miniatures and maps. We'll come back to that stuff. Don't worry. I just want to get this done. So, do you like James Bond villain lairs? Yes, 71%. Just watching, 21%. Undecided, 7%. No, there's nobody who said no. So if you're creating your own villain lair, my recommendation is go and watch plenty of James Bond, because James Bond villains get done really well. And it's a good example of how things would be set up. That's not to say that James Bond doesn't seem to be able to get through into the villain lair almost every single time, because he does, but it's a movie. Okay, James Bond is not your player characters. They're going to find it a lot more difficult. So I just want to say thank you to all of my patrons who support me on Patreon so that I can do this, and I do appreciate it. It makes a big difference that you are able to support me there. And right now it's more important than it's ever been before. A lot of this will wind up on Patreon once it's all fully developed in written form. For those of you who aren't on Patreon, well, you'll get it through the videos. They will still be available free. Okay. I want to say thank you to everybody who took part in the poll today on the live stream. Watched the live stream and took part in the chat. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much for doing so. We will be returning. And thank you for watching the replays, the edited videos, and putting up with the shorts videos. I'll try to do a little bit more of that if I can. So wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, the night, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Don't you worry, we've got Volcano in there, Spirit Wolf. It's in there, I can assure you.